What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of We as People. And in this episode, I want to discuss how anger protects us. The thing about dealing with anger is the fact that it can come up at any moment. It it triggers, sometimes it's some of the oddest places, the oddest times, and we don't know how to really deal with it, except for feed into it. We let it take control of us and just go out and do whatever it needs to do to ensure that we're safe. Yeah, that's the word I'm using, to ensure that we're safe. That's what anger is. It's a defense mechanism for us, whether it be trying to protect us from different threats, protect us from feeling powerless, or in a lot of cases, especially dealing with domestic in our households and dealing with our close loved ones, being vulnerable. So I watched this video the other day, and it actually triggered me to have this conversation. In the video, what happened was that it was a guy that walked up to a gang of guys that was standing out on the street, and he approached one of the guys and said, like, "Hey, man, it's your fault that our friend was killed and he passed away." And he was like, the other guy was like, "My fault." And then, the guy that walked up to them was like, "Yeah, it's your fault. You the one that was hanging out with him and was showing him all this bad stuff, and now he's murdered. Now he's dead." And so I'm gonna just say the gang leader, he looked at the other guy up and down and was about to go back and forth with him, and you could see the fury in his eyes of him saying, like, "No, what I'm saying, you're not gonna blame this on me." But the innocent civilian guy, he was like, "I want you to understand that this was my friend too. I knew him in a different light than what you know him as. And regardless of what you say right now and how you put it, it is your fault. Ultimately, is the reason why he was killed." So the gang leader, everybody, you can tell in the scene right there that you would automatically assume and think that he's about to start fighting the guy or get to a point where he hurts him in some type of way because of his fury that he's represented. But ultimately, the guy ends up grabbing onto the civilian and just crying. Yeah, he cried. He cried, and he just let out all of his frustrations. You can hear it in the video. And so when I looked at that, when I watched that, I was just like, wow, this is this is the type of stuff that people go through. This is what they mean by your anger being a defense mechanism for you. Because in that moment right there, it wasn't the fact that he felt threatened. It wasn't the fact that he felt powerless. It was the fact that he was becoming vulnerable because somebody can honestly say that they felt the same way that he did about this particular person. That somebody felt the same way of why his sadness was being triggered at that moment. So those type of interactions, they amaze me because how many times do we misconceive people's emotions at moments that can be diffused? We think about the times where a person is running around yelling and screaming, getting ready to fight and stuff, but anger in itself is not necessarily an emotion by itself. It only becomes available when one of three things has happened. where it's a true threat, a person is feeling powerless, or a person is feeling vulnerable. It gives you a different light and a different view on how to perceive people when they are showing their anger. Is a person that's showing anger or they being like this all the time, they're known for this type of behavior. Is that an acceptable and a justifiable reason in the past to give them because they can't control their emotions? No, no, it's not. But what it can be and what we can do at this point is just look at a person that's displaying anger at that moment as, why are you doing that? Which true emotion or situation is truly going on? Are you feeling threatened? Are you feeling powerless? Or are you just feeling vulnerable and you don't want to look weak? So just keep that in mind, y'all, as we walk around and traverse this thing that we call life. Look at things in a different perception sometimes. Perspective, I'm sorry. Look at things in a different perspective sometimes. And before we react to situations, understand it first. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode and I'll be back soon. See y'all soon.